You know this is a trap. Don't pretend ignorance. If there was a clear way out, you wouldn't be hesitating. If there was a real possibility for change, you wouldn't feel stuck. If there was strength, you wouldn't be thinking of going back. The truth is harsh. This is not a phase, it's a cycle. This person promises, deceives, reacts, doesn't change. And you, adapt, justify, wait, don't act, it's crystal clear. A pattern repeats itself, and you're at the forefront of it. You call this hope. Others call it illusion. The bond persists because you feed it, not out of love, but out of attachment. Cutting is difficult, and you know that. The pain of leaving behind is easier to endure than the uncertainty of the new. When someone cares, they act. When someone respects, they invest. When someone truly cares, they don't dive into empty promises. You need to realize, if you are striving to be heard, you are already being ignored. If you need to compete for attention, you've already lost value. If you beg for recognition, that's not a connection. It's wearing out. You're not incapacitated. You're paralyzed by your own decisions. And standing still is a choice. The bare reality is this: nothing changes while you remain available for someone who doesn't make an effort. You don't need more time. You don't need more excuses. You don't need another, "it's just a phase." You need to decide if you will break free or remain a hostage to this situation. There is no soft ending here, just the line you decide to cross. And this line requires courage. You believe you can handle it, but reality tells you otherwise. You've already lost yourself in empty promises, hoping the other would change. And still, nothing changes. The cycle repeats. You feel a void that echoes, the feeling of being just an option, not a priority. This person ignores your needs, minimizes your feelings, seeks comfort in what is familiar. And you nullify yourself, adapt, sacrifice. A pattern that couldn't be clearer. With every attempt at dialogue, every discussion that should bring issues to light, you realize that everything flows like water through your fingers. Words become a labyrinth and the way out disappears. It's heavy, isn't it? You wonder if it's worth continuing, but when you look at the situation, you realize that you have no answer. Time passes, and you, every day, find yourself facing the same choice, the same internal struggle, the desire to be seen, heard, respected. But what you receive is a distant echo of your own voice. You feel like you are just a present body, with no space for the essence of who you truly are. With each silence, with each absence, the bond tightens, but at the same time becomes suffocating. You live in this duality, between wanting and needing. When someone cares, they don't make promises. When someone cares, they don't put you in second place. You feel like you're in a constant search for validation, while the other person feels in control. The game is unbalanced, and in this process, you forget who you really are. Your identity fades into the shadows of what you expect from the other person. You no longer know if it's love or just convenience. You no longer know if these are happy moments or just temporary escapes. The memories of good times appear, but what do these memories really hide? The truth is that they are a refuge, a place where you find solace, but not resolution. And so you cling to the past, to what could have been, to what should be. Meanwhile, reality doesn't change. You remain there, trapped in a distorted logic, a vicious cycle where pain becomes familiar and, in a way, comfortable. But it's time to face the mirror. What do you see? A reflection of exhaustion, resignation. You don't need to be comfortable in pain. You need to understand that change begins when you decide to let go of what no longer serves you. And this decision doesn't come without sacrifices. Sacrifices that can be demanding and painful, but that need to be made. You feel like you are wasting time. Every day you respond to indifference, every time you accept crumbs, is a day you distance yourself from what truly matters. From you, you get distracted, deceive yourself, think things are going to get better. But the truth is that change won't appear on its own. You need to make choices, make decisions, and most importantly, take action. When you realize this, the feeling of freedom begins to emerge. The ability to say enough becomes a real possibility, but it's frightening. The new brings uncertainties. You wonder if you will be able to deal with them, if you will be able to withstand the pressure of the unknown. But what is more painful? Remaining in what is known and destructive, or taking a risk for something new? The reality is simple yet brutal. The choice is yours. Continue in this cycle or break free from it. Accept the pain of letting go or live in the pain of staying. There is no easy path. There is no guaranteed return, only the weight of your decisions. And when you finally decide to cross that line, you will feel the relief of freedom, even if accompanied by the anguish of the unknown. Because in the end, change requires courage, and you have that courage inside you, but it is up to you to decide when to use it. The truth has already been presented, and reality does not wait. You find yourself at a crossroads. The weight of decisions doesn't fall just on your shoulders, but on your essence. Each step you hesitate, each breath you delay, becomes a burden. You feel the pressure of choice hovering, like a specter that doesn't disappear. When you look at the situation, something starts to reveal itself. It's not just the repetition of the cycle, it's how this cycle shapes who you become. You transform into a shadow of yourself. What was once a desire becomes a necessity, and necessity is a well-constructed prison. The walls are high, but you know every brick. You now realize that indifference is not just a barrier, but a distorted mirror. It reflects what you have accepted to be, and that is uncomfortable. You are not meant to be someone who lives at the bottom, waiting for crumbs. Your essence vibrates differently, but you have learned to silence it. What should have been a priority has become the last option. As you struggle against this reality, a new awareness arises. What does your heart truly yearn for? True love? Genuine respect? Effortless understanding? Or is it just the fantasy of a connection that doesn't exist? You know that waiting for the other only perpetuates the pain. This is the cold, naked truth that refuses to leave your line of sight. The constant struggle between wanting and needing transforms into something deeper. You don't just feel tired, you feel exhausted. You begin to recognize that this internal struggle is draining the life out of you. It's sucking away your energy, your vitality, and you ask yourself, until when? This person has become the center of your universe, but what have you really gained from it? Looking deeply, you realize that the space you occupy is small. It's emotional claustrophobia. You feel pushed into a corner while the other lives freely, without looking back. The freedom you desired becomes invisible chains that restrict you. Being paralyzed by your decisions starts to lose its charm. This waiting game, this hope, no longer makes sense. Time, that ruthless villain, acts upon you like a thief. While you suspend your life for someone who doesn't value it, the days slip away. Tomorrow always turns into an empty promise. And what have you really built? A confusing maze where every turn brings you back to the same trap. You recognize that the exit only appears when you decide to break down these walls, but fear becomes an old acquaintance. It whispers your name, trying to convince you that staying with the familiar is safer. It's time to face this fear. Look it in the eyes and understand that it is not a friend. It is an enemy in disguise keeping you trapped. By removing it from your mind, you begin to see possibilities, and this vision can be terrifying. The idea of starting over brings uncertainty and insecurity, but maybe that's exactly what you need, a chance to rise again. No longer as a shadow, but as the most authentic version of yourself, the version that never had the opportunity to shine. You feel the euphoria of possibility, but at the same time the guilt for having kept this version locked away. What happens when you finally set yourself free? What will you find in the vast unknown? Probably new people, unprecedented experiences, and yes, the pain of mourning everything left behind. However, what was left must be left behind. You realize that being determined is not enough. The decision must be followed by action, and the real action is breaking the chains. You do not surrender to the captivating past, but choose the challenging future. This act of letting go will be one of the hardest you've ever faced, but it is the only way to rediscover yourself. With every move you make, you notice your steps becoming firmer. Each small act of courage fuels the fire within you. You begin to realize that the void you felt is not the end, but an invitation to rebirth. What you fear transforms into strength. In the final analysis, you understand that the choice, as frightening as it is yours, and that is powerful. It is a return to yourself. The raw reality has already been presented. You are the only one who can decide to move forward. The feeling of freedom, although distant, begins to materialize. You feel a weight being lifted off your shoulders. Each step towards the unknown is a subtle yet powerful victory. The shadows that once seemed insurmountable now dissipate, allowing light to slowly enter. You look back and see the remnants of your former life. The memories, once colorful, now become monotonous. Repetition no longer brings comfort, only disillusionment. The promises never kept resonate like distant echoes. Each echo loses strength as you advance. You realize that all that was left was a worn facade of a love that was never real. The memories of the good times tend to blend with the pain of silent betrayal. The smile that once brought you joy is now overshadowed by the absence of respect. You know that you need to look at these memories with coldness. Separate reality from what you wished it to be. It's a painful but necessary process. You take a deep breath and recognize the truth that was hidden under layers of useless hope. You no longer have the same need for validation from the other. A new cycle begins within you, a cycle of self-discovery. What truly matters starts to emerge. It's not just about leaving the other, but about finding yourself again. You recall forgotten passions, interests relegated to the background. The colors of your life, once faded, begin to regain their brightness. You can start to rewrite your story, but it requires courage. And that courage only appears when you decide to stop relying on the presence of the other as emotional support. While you experience a personal rebirth, there is also mourning for the bond that was. This grief is legitimate, but it should not paralyze you. The sadness for something that was never fully yours becomes part of the liberation process. Pain and longing can coexist with the hope for a better future. As you rebuild yourself, the big question remains: what comes next? This question echoes in your mind. You realize that you don't know the path, but that doesn't mean you can't move forward. Uncertainty is frightening, but you have decided that you prefer it to being a shadow in someone else's life. Every new choice, every new direction, serves as a reminder that you are not just surviving but living. The small things start to matter again. A song playing on the radio, a casual conversation with a stranger, even the lonely nights turn into opportunities for reflection. There is no longer a need to sympathize with someone else's pain. You become your own safe harbor. You realize that self-love begins to grow from within. It's not egocentric love, but a genuine appreciation of who you are. You become your own ally, observing your own feelings, respecting your needs. This recognition does not come without effort. It is a continuous work, a daily exercise in self-compassion. As time goes on, you allow yourself to feel everything you need to feel. Anger arises, sadness too. But now you don't cling to these emotions. They are fleeting, like clouds that dissipate in the sky. You learn that each feeling brings a lesson, and this understanding is liberating. When you finally accept the idea that you no longer need someone else to feel complete, something incredible happens. The relationships to come in the future have the potential to be healthier, more balanced. You become more selective, not out of fear, but out of a deep respect for yourself. Now you want more. You won't settle for less than you deserve. Life begins to take shape differently. The days take on a new meaning. You explore new interests, new friendships. You begin to discover parts of yourself that were forgotten. The laughter is genuine. The conversations are deep. Each new encounter is a celebration of your newfound freedom. But remember, the path is not linear. There will be setbacks, moments when doubt will creep in. Ghosts of the past will try to whisper in your ears. You will recognize this as part of the process. And in that recognition, you will find strength. The internal struggle may arise, but you already know how to navigate through it. You are capable. The raw reality has already been presented. You now hold the key to your own freedom. Every day is a new opportunity to solidify this choice. Walking towards the unknown, even if it is frightening, is an affirmation of life. The past is a lesson, but the future is yours. You will shape it. And with each step taken, confidence grows. The weight of what was left behind diminishes. You become light. Freedom is not just a concept. It is a reality that you build. And deep down, you know the decision was never between staying or leaving. It was always between living or just existing. You chose to live, and that choice changes everything.